Welcome to the poleshift news. Guys, the UK temperatures, with regards to the sub-zero temperatures at least, have dissipated, and we are enjoying +6 degrees Celsius. You know, there's some snow around here and there, but pretty much the rain has seen most of that off. But the sun isn't yet shining, and you know, it's still too early to go out and fix the tiles on the roof. Guys, 3,463 views on the last video a few days ago, and in the last 3 weeks hardly any support worth talking about. What's happened? How come people don't support this research no more? You know, one of the rarest events we're covering more than anyone else on YouTube. You know, we are now an observatory that we are doing more now than we ever have done. Measuring the magnetosphere strength, because we know it's depleting. We want to know how much by. We're tracking the magnetic North Pole every 3 seconds, because we know it's heading easterly towards Siberia. And we know also a lot of other things, you know, such as, you know, as the magnetic North Pole migrates over the northern hemisphere, it's taking that cooler climate with it, that Arctic climate with it, towards Siberia. And it just is one of the rarest events. I can't bring it home enough that this is a very unique and rare event, and it deserves support, it really does. And yet we're struggling to get any. So I don't know what to do to improve this situation. You know, if I don't mention it, it certainly isn't going to improve. I just think attitudes are changing with people, and it couldn't be any more apparent than what we're witnessing with this channel and the research that we're covering. You know, this is going to bring about changes for everybody on this planet. It already has for a lot of people, and it will continue. As the poles migrate and the magnetosphere weakens, it will continue to change people's lives. You know, mainstream organisations are reluctant to be forthcoming with the data. That's why we took it upon ourselves on this channel to collect the data ourselves, to open an observatory so that we could get the data ourselves. And we're coming close within the next 3 months to being able to forecast some real figures based on the data that we've collected from our own equipment. And I think it's a shame that, you know, the support for the channel has pretty much stopped. But I think it's to do with the attitude, and it's not surprising. It is a shame though, I've got to say that. Okay, let me just point out something to you guys, right, so that you know that what I'm showing you and what I'm about to tell you is unique. And you know, I've said it before, these other pigeons that talk about the grand solar minimum like they're an expert at it now really don't know what they're talking about, because they're talking about ice ages. And I just want to show you something just so that you know, right, where I'm coming from on this channel. Okay, so we're on the website I put up for us, poleshift news. If you go over to live solar data and just come down to, you know, the hot topic at the moment, the grand solar minimum, and we'll have a look at the last 400 years of sunspots. I'm going to try and do it as quickly as possible, but I want to do it in a way so that you understand exactly what it is I'm showing you, because there's a good point to be made here. We know that when sunspots hit 0 in the past, you know, it has spawned little ice ages. The one most people are familiar with is the Maunder minimum. Started around 1650 and ended in the 1700s. Then there was another one, the Dalton minimum, and if you remember, I've said that we are in that period of time now, because at least we are receiving on average less than 50 sunspots. And as you can see, the line there is 50, probably 20. Well, we're receiving a lot less than 10 sunspots on average, but you know, let's just put that aside. We know that the depleting in sunspots leads to cooling temperatures. Now, the reason why we knew this was on the cards to happen is because of the last 3 solar cycles. And at least from 1985, mainstream science was putting out about global warming. And that was because if we look at before 1985, we can see there was a considerable amount more of sunspots during that period, which peaked around about 2000. Well, it peaked a bit earlier than that. It peaked around the 1990s, as we can see, because after that point the sunspots start to drop off on these last 3 solar cycles. Solar cycle 24 being the lowest. But there's a bigger picture here. Most people, like I say, that don't really know a lot about the subject, are saying that we're heading into another ice age. The truth of the matter is it's much worse than that. And the truth of the matter is we never really left the last ice age officially. We are still in an ice age. What we are entering is another glacial period. And the evidence of that is, if you look at the 11,000 year sunspot record, you can see that from 11,000 years ago, they have uniformly been depleting from that point in time, and they're getting weaker and weaker. So this isn't just going to be a small event. This is going to be a prolonged event that lasts probably thousands of years, not 50 years, like some people are saying. This is the big freeze that the Earth does have cycles of. We've been in many glacial periods and interglacial periods, and this is the beginning of the next one. And what this means is pretty much the northern hemisphere for the most of the inhabitants on this planet right now is going to become uninhabitable, unless you are a skilled Eskimo, which most of us aren't. The problem is there is 7.5 billion people on this planet. There was only 2 billion people on the planet in the 1800s during the Maunder minimum, and this had significant effects for those people at that time. It's going to have considerable effects for the people at this time when we don't go through an ordinary ice age or experience sub-zero temperatures as a result and freezing River Thames. It's going to be much worse than that. We're going into the full glacial, period. And that is going to spell disaster for the northern hemisphere. And I can tell you now, guys, everything seems pretty much normal. Yeah, you might pick up on the odd sub-zero frequency of temperatures dropping in and around where you are right now, but continue this for the next 10 years and this is going to become something common even right into the summers for the northern hemisphere. I know exactly what people are going to try and do. They're going to migrate southerly towards the equatorial region, and that might not be the best bet either. I think before then, pandemonium is going to break out on this planet. And, I think we're going to start seeing wars being triggered. Because the fertile lands are already, and have been for the last 10 years, being snapped up by countries that are well aware of what is happening. The reason why not many people are being made aware of it is because there's not a lot that the governments can do to protect everybody. I'm not selling fear here, guys. I'm just pointing it out, the facts. Your lives are going to change when this starts to really happen, and we're seeing it right now. All the evidence is there to say that we are going back, not into an ice age, but a glacial period. And those last thousands of years, not 50 years. This could be what sends us back to the Stone Age, you realise that. And I think it has done, to higher civilisations that have been on this planet well before us. We go back 6,000 years, there was only just starting to recreate a written form of language, perhaps after 1,000 years of being at the back of a glacial period. And, we can look at these megaliths that have been left and just ponder how they was built. And we know, common sense tells us that there must have been some technology, at least higher advanced technology than probably what we have today, because at the end of the day they was lifting these obelisks out of these quarries with equipment far more capable than what we have today. And they're lifting 100 tons in one piece out of a quarry in one go. Some of them weigh many hundreds of tons. We haven't got the technology to do that. Compared to these guys that built these megaliths, we're primitive, because of what we've managed to build isn't going to last the test of time. And that's as successful we have been this time round. And we're covering the sunspots, we're covering the pole shift, we're covering the depleting magnetosphere strength, and a lot of things on this planet that we're observing on this channel. And it's for that reason I think it's worth supporting. So guys, I'm going to put the link down there and we're going to see how it goes. Because if there's no support, then there's no point doing any more of these videos, because there can't be any interest, real interest, out there for the topic. If it's not worth supporting, then what is it worth? It's as simple as that. Guys, the link will be down there. I'm hoping that we can, drive a bit of enthusiasm for the channel, and we can get some support from somewhere. But right now, if everyone's thinking somebody else will support, then, pretty much no one will support. So, I'll put the link down there, guys, and I'll say what I usually do. Enjoy your week, and bye for now.